So when you were starting to become a designer, you started getting these trials. Did it ever feel like you were winging it at some point? Because I
Oh,
think we have in similarity. I worked in a mobile game studio as well for a time, and that's where I learned everything. Like I got to be
hmm
producer, designer,
yeah,
PM.
it's great. I tell people they should start in mobile. Literally, you get so much knowledge. Um,
But yeah, what were those trials like though? Like what did it mean?
um, I'm always and still am winging it in every moment. It's always acted like I know what I'm doing until I know what I'm doing. Um, and it is just, it's a lot of sort of personal learning. I don't think the people, even when you get given tasks and trials, I don't think they fully even know what they want. Especially like in design, it's kind of like we want you to figure that out so we can, so we know exactly what we want. Um, and yeah, I was pretty good at sort of listening to what people said they want and picking out what that means and breaking it down to be like, okay, it's not, you don't actually mean this. What you're meaning is all these parts broken down. So I just started doing that with them, like prototypes in engine, design docs. And the biggest thing that I think has really helped push me in my career, is just my communication skills with other crafts. A lot of the time, and as done it is in parts of, I guess it's more old school, with design that I think they get quite isolated off where they'll be in their little mastermind place of like, I need to control all this stuff and figure all this stuff out. And it comes more of a, you're telling people what to do in these crafts instead of, these people in these crafts know how to do this better than you. You should be talking to them to ask them, well, here's what we think we should do. What are your thoughts on that? How should we do that? Um, and then it comes back to you to then work it all out. You should be communicating with these areas. And I think that's what helped me. That's what helped push me in my career and to get to be on quite big projects that I can't mention at the moment, but I've got to be on these really good projects, because of those communication skills. And it is surprising how many people in this industry sort of cower away from talking and be vocal and just talking. Like I love to just admit when I don't know something or not good at something because it just means people are more likely and more eager to teach you than to be like, God, they don't know what they're doing.
Why do you think
Let's
it
get them
is?
fired.
Why do you think people don't want to communicate, or is it just
I think it's a hard one. I think it's a lot of I think it's just a human thing, especially in the game dev industry. Most of the time, we're all sort of introverts, introvert gamers. And a lot of it is, again, people, because I think everyone is kind of winging it, uh, people are trying to prove that they're not. And because of that, they sort of cut off communication or they're a bit direct or a bit blunt or a bit defensive. And that and that sort of breaks the whole, as a game designer you can't think that way, um because that's just going to cut off the communication. You're a big communication and a big pinpoint for all of these people. um just admit that you don't know things and figure it out.
yeah? So part of design is like collaborating with really talented people that have specific skills or like expertises, and then you got to bring
Mm.
that together to make something coherent, right? And if you
Yeah,
don't know how to talk to these people, it's going to be a tough job.
yes, and lots of from what I've experienced, you get lots of conflict when you get people like people against different crafts because you're always like, God, design have done this, or God, programming have done this, or animators have done this, um, and it's a whole blame game of like, no, if you just communicated this out and just talked about it and understood the points that they're coming from, it's often something fixable.
Is this something you do in a meeting though, or is this like a document, or do you get in front of a whiteboard and like break down the pros and cons and say Jim's saying this, Sally's saying that? Like how does it work to even find that compromise?
No. I normally, it depends on the people, on the groups of people. You sort of need to know your audience, which is another big thing about being a designer is you're making these documents and these pictures, but you'll make them differently depending on who you're talking to. Um, so I'll normally end up I'll have like brief meetings where I'll come up with the initial design for something, and it's as high level as it can be. So it's not saying you're doing this, you're doing that. It's like, here's what we need to do. Here's what I'm thinking is the sort of ideal or the best outcome, and then the minimum outcome and everything like that. Then I'll get sort of a feature team, which is the people that will be working on it, and I'll get someone from each section, and we'll go through it, and I'll go through my ideas of it, and then I'll ask their ideas and what they would suggest would be their next steps in this. And we put together, listen to any concerns at the starting point. And then just always, because I think there's a little level of, the sort of design and production have some similarities. I always think it's like production works with the devs and the business side of things, works that out, and then design works with production and the devs, and you're sort of like this communication in between.
It's like a triangle.
Yeah. So in a way, you have a little production in you when you're talking to people, is how I'd put it. But it is just definitely that initial sort of briefing is important. Checking in is important, making sure that they're communicating with each other and being like, okay, done this task. What's any problems with this one? Anything like that? This task, what would be a reason that we wouldn't continue with this or that? And if things do go wrong, being able to think about change and what's best for the team, because a design is never going to be perfect, even after going through that briefing and everyone agreeing. If something comes up that you need to change, you can't hold on to that and be like, oh, but my design was so good, it was so stable, because it probably wasn't.